Hello everyone, Zach here from the Carnival of Randomness on behalf of our sponsor, Upsitnik & Associates. In these unprecedented times, we reflect on our future, both in the next few weeks and months, but also the upcoming years and decades. And it's time to prepare for that future. Upsitnik & Associates has been contacted by many healthcare workers, as well as old and new clients, to prepare wills, powers of attorney, and advance directives, also called a living will. All of you need these documents. So don't say you don't have any assets to speak of, no children or other dependents. Regardless of the circumstances now, you will need a will for today and tomorrow. Al Upsitnik feels so strongly about having wills and other needed documents prepared that Upsitnik & Associates can prepare your will, power of attorney, and living will at no charge. You heard that correct. No charge until the end of 2020. No hidden fees or gimmicks. Al feels so strongly about planning for the future at this time that he is willing to assist you with your future. Trust Upsitnik & Associates, attorneys for 42 years, from the Supreme Court to Alaska and everywhere in between. You can find them online, upsitnikslaw.com, on Facebook, Upsitnik & Associates, or call them toll-free 1-866-391-3299 to prepare for your future.
Well, it's Halloween on Carnival of Randomness, and because it's Carnival of Randomness, this isn't exactly Halloween, but it's October, and maybe we'll talk Halloween, maybe we won't. I'm sort of the phantom of the airwaves today. But June got a hold of me after I had Adrianna on, got a hold of Shadow, and said, you know, she's doing a lot more, you should have her back on. It's like, Rob, have her on. Well, my dog tends to book the podcast. That's why we have Bauman on here a lot. So, once again, Adrianna's back.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's very cool, and somehow it seems we attract drummers. We lay little breadcrumbs, and they go to the studio, and so far none of them have exploded in the studio yet, so which is good, or choked on somebody's vomit, or any of that stuff. But we have Chuck Salviaggio today. Hi.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, can you just say a little bit about yourself, because you're new to the Carnival audience?
Well, just an old guy that likes to play drums.
And we have Greg, who I forgot about because he's here, like lurking in the corner. And we have actually, because you played with Anonymous Willpower, didn't you?
Yeah, last night.
Well, before you, I mean, didn't you play with them, Chuck?
Yeah, that was back. I think I might have been their first or maybe second. Was Ross? I think maybe Ross Lazara was actually their first drummer, if I'm not mistaken. But I think he and Don played in bands quite a few years before that, and something went down, and I got the call, and I actually ran into them out at a bar, and I was at a point in my life where I was just becoming single again, and I was like, all right, I'll do it, and it lasted, 6-8 months.
We could do 6 degrees of Susie
Willpower. They got really busy, actually. They started getting super busy, and I was like, all right, well, I'm too busy for me.
I started getting a lot of gigs, and then they were looking for other guys to fill in, because I was off on my little, hey, wherever there's $1 to be made, I'll go play, type of thing. But so, yeah, then I know Chuck played a bunch of gigs, and then, I don't know, all of a sudden, you weren't, and then I don't know, somehow we worked it out. I don't know.
What brought you together for Adrianna's Advertised, Adrianna Noone Trio, all the, how did you come to play for?
Well, we started out, actually, myself, Jeremy, and Chris were doing, I have a building on my property that I renovated, and it was kind of an outbuilding, and we gutted it, put a new roof on it, and started playing music in it, and we eventually put heat in it, which took us through the winter. And our second winter there, I had the idea to started doing open jams, and we had a lot of people just kind of coming through the door, and it was just a lot of fun. And I think it was October 21st. It's almost a year now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Adrianna walked through the door. And that's kind of how it went.
Was it just, I hear drumming in a barn, I'll go investigate?
Yeah, I know. I always find myself out in Livingston County, I tell you. So, yeah, that's where I was. No, but it was super cool in there.
The irony is, we've talked about this before, is the first time I saw you play on Valentine's Day, you weren't the drummer.
Right.
Because you probably froze on the way there.
Right.
But the thing is, speaking of freezing, last night, Greg, we had a gig at Abilene, and we froze pretty much a little bit, but it was fun.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm bringing that up because my most interesting, you'll see where I'm going, or my most interesting show of the year probably was on the Colonial Bell this year. And what were your thoughts on that? And my thought was Chuck was going to keep getting bounced off by the bridge because it barely missed his head.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a picture of Chuck somewhere that I know he loves. And it's like he's in the background and then he's got his whole like, it was like you had your mask around your head or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
I thought it was a diaper.
Trap the heat in there. But yeah, no, it was that the Colonial Bell was fun, but gosh, it gets cold.
The thing was, did you sit down purposely because you thought you were going to whack your head? Or did you sit
absolutely. I started standing and I was like, you know what, if I'm going to have to duck every time, that I'm like, no, forget
And
about
was
it.
your equilibrium? Because I sort of noticed it was like on a slant too, so it's probably better to sit down.
Yeah, and then when it first started and I was standing, I was like, oh God. And I remember I turned around to Chuck and I go, I didn't think about moving and how I'm going to be like, I just felt all off, kind of, like I was going to tip over. But then I did end up sitting down. I tried to do it standing, and then once we went over under the first bridge, I was like playing and trying to sit. I'm like, no, forget about it.
I know
No.
boat ones are weird. I played a boat gig a couple times. They're interesting.
As
Yeah.
we've told the story many times, you were hooked by a fisherman too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that wasn't on a boat, but it was a weird. It was in Soda's Point. This long story. I'll make it really short. This next to the stage is this little bait shop thing. So this guy was walking with his family and he had his fishing poles with him. And my back was against the flatbed thing. And he just happened to be walking, and his hook swung and caught the back of my shirt and started tugging as he's walking. And he's like tugging me without playing, and I'm like spazzing, and I'm like, everybody's looking at me like, what the hell's the matter with you?
Oh my gosh.
It was just a weird little thing. It was like, you couldn't make this stuff
But
up.
you were really troopers because I've seen a concert, for example, Big Sandy and Low Straitjackets played in the summer at the Dryden, the East Bend, the Garden Vibes, which is a beautiful setting when they have it. But they stopped because they couldn't see the instruments because it got dark. But you played, it was cold and dark, and you kept troopering on, all of you. And Greg, you did too last night.
Well, yeah, I brought a lot of lights, though. I brought a bunch of lights to light up the stage.
Heat lamps.
No, just regular lights. Yeah.
But they played in the dark when it was freezing, and they managed to pull it off.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was crazy.
But it was fun.
Colonial
was
Bell was
fun.
nice.
No, it was really fun. It was like one of those things that popped up. It's like the way this year is, what else do we have to do? It's like, wow, sailing, yay.
Well, I think
The boat will sink. You'll hear the song from Titanic. No, I don't want to hear the song, and then the boat will go down.
I know, he made that joke. The captain made that joke. He's like, so you guys are going to keep playing, right, if we go down? And I was like, yep, we're the last ones. Don't you worry.
That's something I want to talk about that I didn't really get to last time is songwriting. And my friend Alyssa Trahan, she's around your age. She's written over 500 songs.
Yeah.
And you seem
I
like
know.
you've written tons already, and you're a natural. That's the best way to describe you. You are. It's like I can barely write 5 lines. That's why I do a podcast. That's why I have a drummer as a co-host. Look good. But and I've always said inspiration, because I do write, it comes from being alive almost. Where, like, for example, my friend Greg Townsend, he was driving one day, saw a sign ATM inside. What happened? ATM inside. He did another one where he saw somebody threw a cigarette out a car. Sparks on the highway.
Yeah.
And it's always good. And it's also what you listen to, how you lived. Where does this come from? Does it just come in your head and think, oh, wow, I want to write about that?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. It's always different, I feel like. And when I was in school, in college, I took some writing classes, like songwriting classes and lyric writing classes, which I didn't really think there was a difference, but they were 2 separate classes. And so I learned a lot about how you could even read an article and then just somehow take words in the article and make a song from that. So I've done that before. And that was the first song that I wrote. It was by just reading an article and coming up with something. And I came up with Blue Devil. And then, I don't know, sometimes it's about, obviously things in your life. But yeah, definitely it was always hard for me to write when I was younger. And I've just...
Oh, and happy birthday, by the way, too. It's your birthday month,
happy
barely.
birthday.
Thank you. But yeah, it's just something that thankfully has gotten a little bit easier. I was always so frustrated with myself because I always wanted to write music.
I think you can't force it. I think it comes.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when I was sitting out here, I always get here early. I told our studio musician, there's a weird cat staring at me.
Yeah.
And it just came up, it's looking at me, and then it runs. You would probably have us be jotting down a song.
No, see, I wish though. Like sometimes I want to be like that, and my brain sometimes doesn't work like that. I was sitting with some friends, and we were eating. We were hungover, and we were eating pizza, and they were smoking, and I was like, slices and cigarettes.
That's the way to do it.
And then I kept trying to write slices and cigarettes, and I can't figure.
Well,
it
that's
out.
how Marcy Playground, the song "Sex and Candy," came out because they were in college together, and one of them walked in on his girlfriend and said, "Smells like sex and candy in here." And you get like a song title. Could you imagine if you pulled like somebody just gave you a song title and then you do lyrics because it sounds.
Yeah.
You know, I've been wanting to still have an album called Narcotic Lollipop. Any musician I've told Jasnetsky, because Maybird, they fit that psychedelic. Use Psychedelic Lollipop as an album cover and do a song.
Yeah.
But what happened, Kim Draheim did a song called Zontar, Into the Sun. And what he did was his lyrics, like you said, all he did was take Sun Ra album titles and use them as lyrics.
Oh, that's interesting too.
But in terms of like Adrianna's pretty prolific. If you've written like 2 songs in 50 years or whatever.
Me?
Yeah, you've written, because you played one last night you wrote.
Yeah, well, we got 2 now. No, I wrote a bunch. See, the thing is, I wrote a bunch in the 80s because I had it was like one of those typical cliche, broke up this relationship, and all of a sudden I sat down at this Wurlitzer keyboard and wrote 14 songs. So it's just like,
My friend Tommy Francis for Grease Creepers, he's actually doing a concept album, 13 songs about COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And my friend Sean McVeigh from King Buffalo, I've talked to him. He said he's got almost 4 albums worth of material just from writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas other people, they can barely do their laundry like me.
I mean, I enjoy helping other people with their songs. I mean, I like arranging stuff, and I like, let's try a break here, let's do a vocal thing. I mean, I'm more of the put the toppings on it type of thing, And then when I do write something, it's like, okay, let's try this. If they like it, they like it. I think a lot of people have conceptions about drummer writing abilities and stuff. I mean, look at Phil Collins. You get a lot of guys that know what they're doing. So
Neil Peart.
Yeah. And I think with writing too, you have to be able to see things in a different way. You have to, like, you find humor in a subject, or you find tragedy in something, and you get, wow, that's like, and then you kind of put ideas together that make, like that Trailer Romance song. The way that came together was kind of like what you were talking about. We were at a Christmas party with Susie and those guys, and my girlfriend, she was talking about this thing with her ex-husband and how he was messing around with some friend of theirs, and she was trash and whatnot, and I just came up with Trailer Romance. That's it. 4 years that line sat in my head.
My friend Beth Bailey, who I've
Until we came up
collaborated
with a song.
on a couple movies, what she would do is, for her writing process, and I believe everybody can do it different, as long as you get to where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
What she would do is pick a situation and imagine what I would do in it. That would be the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this happens, and that's where you go from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's sort of like in any way it goes, but it could be a phrase. It could be getting something at dinner that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
My blue food.
Yeah.
Right.
Paul McCartney's written, I'm sure is coming for you, Paul McCartney's written enough songs about his pets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff is sometimes it's like a storybook. He likes to write little stories.
I think Ray Davies is the king of that.
Yeah.
It's like he's very, but in terms of now writing, in terms of a band, Chuck, when Adrianna brings a song to all of you, is it collaborative with the music, or is it pretty much done?
Well, she's been really great about, being open to pretty much anything that we've brought to it. I mean, she's had ideas, and she's expressed in areas where she'd like certain little things, but for the most part, I think that's why it's worked so well for me personally. I've always been more of a kind of an original type of player, mainly because of my weaknesses, actually, because when I do cover songs, I never do the same thing twice. I mean, that's just not the kind of player I am. So for doing original music and trying to work things out with her, it's been easy because I just kind of do what I'm feeling, and she's never complained yet. So it's cool.
That you know of.
that
I
I know
love
of.
it. No, I love
The
it.
thing is, too, sometimes, like, and I'll say one thing, I'll step back for a second, and maybe Greg, you probably done some cover band stuff, maybe a little.
Yeah.
I think when you're not a cover band, when like, say I was going to go see, like, pick something out of a hat for cover, like any band, Journey, whatever. But you're going to go see them. If you're seeing a cover band like our friend Rob Mount, you want to see, when he played for Foreign, like Lou Gramm, and he played for 50-50, you're expecting those songs. Mm-hmm. But when you're going to see seeing some band who's pulling cover songs out, it's fine, you do your own spin on them. Whereas somebody would get mad if they're going to a cover band and they're saying, what the heck is this? They want to hear it note for note. So that's fine. Mm-hmm. But also, have you been surprised sometimes when you bring your song to them and they do something you didn't expect, but it's like, why didn't I think of that? That's actually better.
Yeah. Yeah, and even, we've had, like, I know Eric sometimes, he's the lead guitar player, and he'll do, like, he'll bring out the slide, and I love the slide.
You should listen to Larkin Poe. Actually, Bell Bottom Blues.
Yeah,
I've been
really
playing
good.
Bell Bottom Blues. It's like I've gotten obsessed with it, where I've been sending it to people saying, "You got to hear the slide."
I love them,
Yeah,
and
they're great.
I heard them recently, and I was like, okay, they're
Because
really
there's
good.
Poe. There's also Poe from the '90s. He did a song "Angry Johnny," but they play. One of them just plays, and they do their own. But they also, if you go on YouTube, they do a bunch of covers. And I just get hooked on Bell Bottom Blues because one of them's just cranking out the slide.
Yeah, and even like we did, In the Light, which we started to record already. That has become one of my favorite songs because it's always different, which is like what you're saying, like how you play songs differently every time. It's always different every time. I feel like from all of us, and so it always surprises me, and we'll just it's pretty mellow. Like I started writing it. And I thought it sounded like a lullaby. Like, it was just super calm, same, pattern on the guitar. And then it became, like, this kind of almost psychedelic moment sometimes. So that's really neat.
Like a lot of things in life, for me personally, like, your insecurities sometimes end up being your strengths. And for me, like, as a drummer, probably my biggest insecurity has always been, like, remembering and being precise, which you want to do, but I think when you're doing it naturally, for me personally, it works out better when I'm just, there's no rules and there's no boundaries, and I don't know, that's kind of what I'm enjoying about this project the most, is she really doesn't have any strict rules.
No, you don't.
I've said,
has anybody ever had the dream? The one recurring dream I have, I'm back in high school, so I figure it's like a John Paul Sartre hell analogy. But I'm back in high school, and we used to do, like, at number one, it would be I would forget my locker combination. But the other one was we did like we would do an 8-day schedule. Like, it would just, they figured it would alleviate the boredom, which it didn't. But it would always be, I would throw my schedule out after 2 weeks, and you never knew what lunch you'd had. So you'd be going down there, oh, he's in my class. So I would have that. And I would have, the other one would be, I would have to take a test. I'm back in high school, and I get the test, and I look at it and go, I don't know one answer. It's like those insecurities. But I have a song I will dedicate this to Danny and Abilene, Nachos and Vodka. Because you have to have a food. There you go.
Slices and cigarettes.
Nachos, vodka, and bad decisions.
There you go.
I think it's good, though, that the way you're describing the way you work together, because a lot of times, at least I've had a couple of experiences, your song can get hijacked. Because you bring in ideas and everybody, oh, I got this and I tried, and then you don't want to be a jerk, so you say, okay, try that, and it's not kind of where you wanted it to go, but you don't want, you're trying to make everybody happy, and then all of a sudden your song goes away. It's not at all.
I think you have to
what came up,
velvet glove it is a little bit. They call it like Iron Fist velvet glove,
Right.
Where you want collaboration, but you also hold on to it where there's some things you don't want to change. Or
Right.
Yeah, you got.
You just have to be a little strong about that.
You got to be firm.
And I know you did a little Muddy Waters last time at Abilene because they played while you were out. They played 3 songs.
Oh, yeah.
That's like Muddy Waters. The only difference with Muddy Waters, you would have been at the bar and not come and played.
Oh, my
Because
God.
one of my friends saw Muddy Waters at the Python Club, said, and Howlin' Wolf would play 3.5-hour sets. Muddy Waters, he said he's watching Muddy Waters, his band's playing. He's at the bar. He comes up, plays one song, and comes away. And John Mayall did the same thing when I saw him. He's out at the merch table signing videos while his band's playing.
Yeah, well, you know what? Also, I also love that like we were talking about how, it is collaborative and it's different every time. And I love that too because it also helps me, even what I'm doing vocally, to change up what I'm doing, And I feel like we even did that at Fairport B-side on Friday. I felt like there was a couple songs where I did something different vocally.
The part I saw you did before I got paged and had to leave.
Yeah, but it's fun like that. I think it's more fun that way, and it's also more fun for the audience too. Like the artists that I've seen, when I know their songs so well, and I'm like basically singing along, when they change up the melody that they're doing or whatever it is, it makes me feel like,
I'll give you an example and one to the contrary. The example to the contrary is the Eagles. When Don Felder joined them, he said the problem with them, if you listen to a live album, Don Henley's so anal you have to do it note by note. And he said, who wants to come to a show? Okay, technically it's perfect, but it's like listening to the album.
Yeah.
But now, the other one I saw 2 years ago, Bob Dylan. And if you listen to Dylan, he reinvents himself. You would have songs like he played like a Rolling Stone. People were going through the song. Oh, that's it. We didn't even know.
See, I love that.
And in some of his songs, like he played It Ain't Me, Babe, it took me...
Love that song.
What the heck is this? Oh, It Ain't Me, Babe.
Yeah, I love that
And
song.
he improvised. It was one of... Because you could see him and he was dead on. But he's reinvented himself so much. It's...
Yeah.
I mean, Greg, that's kind of why you get a lot of the calls you get, isn't it? Because you can just feel like it kind of leads into the comment you made when we started today about, getting calls and just going in and, you have 17 songs? No problem. I'll be there tomorrow. And you just feel them, I mean,
and I learn from everything I have to learn. So, if that made any sense, it's like okay, I've been playing with this band in the mix. There's like a basic 5-piece CMF song list type thing, Journey. And
Zeppelin.
No, there's no Zeppelin, but there's
Wait a second, CMF no Zeppelin.
No Zeppelin.
You didn't have to buy Zeppelin albums because you could just listen to them on CMF.
That's right. But I mean, there is a woman singer too. So I mean, she's singing all this other, all the higher stuff, Journey and all that stuff. But I mean, you got to learn, the way Steve Smith plays. You got to learn a Fleetwood Mac style. It's like all of a sudden you hear all these different things, and when you start, I mean, you do copy to an extent. I mean, I'm a basic, like, kind of in between what you're saying, and I'll learn parts, but okay, so it's mostly Tom, so I'll come up with a Tom thing. So it's in the style of,
right.
That's kind of how I approach everything,
And I saw, like, I'll give an example. You played Comfortably Numb at show at Abilene, and I remember Eric at the band and you're, okay, what is it? And I think you ad-libbed the heck out of it.
I was like, what? Yeah, I was just watching everybody's hands. I'm like, that's what we're going to do? Okay.
I think there's a comfort zone when you play together, though, and you can do that improv.
Yeah. And that's what I love, too. Like, when we go out to practice, sometimes, I have to, I tap out early. I go home, and these guys play until, like, midnight. And then that's why at Abilene, I was like, yeah, you guys do your songs. So they always have so many songs.
But it's the improv, as we've said before. It's like when you play Jim Croce, and then you put Girl from the North Country in, because you have that ear where it just sounds like something else, and you bring it on.
I'm like, there's something there. What is it?
When you played B-side, would you just have 2 or 3 people?
Yeah, we're with the trio that night. Yeah.
But regularly, what do you got? 5 or something?
5, yeah.
And 4 at one, I think, because I put down the trio and I was wrong because you had somebody else.
We did have 4 at Roar the last time.
Well, we did the Colonial Bell. That was the other funny part about that Colonial Bell gig is we had Jerry Youngman, the Paradigm Shift keyboardist, play with us.
Yeah,
nice.
And he was he's extraordinary, But that gig was our first time playing with this guy. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to do a rehearsal, and something came up. His wife's mom was in the hospital. He couldn't come. He lives in Buffalo. Couldn't come to the rehearsal, so we played cold that night.
Yeah, we did more ways than one.
More ways than one.
Right, literally.
and he was just the sweetheart, And so we're playing, and
it was fun.
that was the one show where the trio turned into a 4-piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next night we played Roar with him also, and that was a little better. It was a little more. I think all of our fingers.
Yeah, we were there. I remember because I think I made the quip. Oh, did your hands thaw out?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, but that was fun.
And that's the thing as a band too, because there's all your originals and the covers. Mm-hmm. Do you all go about how you're going to do the set list? Do you ad lib it? Somebody bring, like, for example, I think you would sing this song well. Why don't you try it for a cover?
Yeah, they've mentioned.
Adrianna never follows the set list.
First of all, yeah, I never follow a set list. I was just talking about that the other night. I make a set list first of all, and then I send it out, right? Because also there are things like, you know, where they need to change guitars or something, right? So then Eric and Jeremy will like look over that, and then they'll kind of tweak it, and then it becomes the set list. But then also I go through it in the moment, and I'm like, you know what? Let's skip that because
Pacing is everything. You
Yeah.
got to read the crowd and change, adapt. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also I feel like if in the moment, you know, I'm like, ooh, I'm not feeling that one. So I don't know. But also it helps because especially on Friday, I was the only one that had a set list.
I don't want to do that one.
I
I just
know.
don't want to do that one.
I grew up going to
We're doing this one.
I grew up going to the War Memorial all the time, and when I was a kid, I don't know if Craig, you felt like this. I never even knew there was a thing as a set list. I thought bands just went up there and just played till they were done.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. But I've had like Keith Richards, I guess, it was the last tour. Brian Lindsay told me this. He said like in Chicago, Keith started playing the wrong song
Yeah.
during the whole thing, and Mick and everybody's looking at him.
I know. You see these sheets of paper on the monitors. It's like, wow, look, they got a bunch of songs written down. You know.
Yeah, I know.
But I guess he would start. Charlie would kick it off, and Keith would go from there. But I do know, like, one thing, and I'm not going to mention the name, but a friend of mine years ago dropped acid before a gig. He was playing all the wrong songs, and I guess you could find the video of that.
God.
But yeah, sometimes you don't feel like it, or you're looking at the audience going, well, they want to dance now. They don't want to hear, my truck died, my dog died.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
it's funny. It's funny you say that all because I remember once I told this friend of mine that I said, well, a lot of times when these bands play encores, they're in the contract that they got to have so many encores, and she was just like devastated. And she was like,
It's not
what?
'cause they
Really?
love
It's not
us?
real? I said, well, it might be real, but I said most of the time they have a couple things in there written in. They go, 2 encores.
Or like, I didn't
You know.
realize till I saw The Who, they don't do encores. Which
Oh,
I
yeah?
never realized
It
yet.
always stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did. What they basically do is at the end, they introduce the band and they leave. They don't do encores, and I didn't know that.
But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of like that whole brown M&Ms, thing. It's like they just a lot of bands, they want to just have these weird little things to see if the contract's
That's
good,
the thing
know?
with the
my
contract, but I guess
gosh,
because
yeah.
I guess it happened. Van Halen did it. I think Kiss did it. Aerosmith did it. What they said was it was like, I've heard blue M&Ms too. But okay, why did they do it? To be weirdos?
No,
They did it
yeah.
because they said to make sure they read the contract.
Exactly.
And if things were messed up, there would be those M&Ms in
Right.
there.
Exactly, except for I heard that Madonna asked for a new toilet seat in her dressing room every time, like a new one to be put on for her. And I don't know if it's one of those things or if she actually just wants.
You
a
just
clean
want to
toilet
be a
seat.
weird
But I
diva.
love that. I love it. I think that one's genius.
No, it's like the dog will be catered to.
Yes.
Or like you ever see Spinal Tap where they do look at the sandwiches where it's like they don't fit on the bread. We want them cut this way.
That's funny.
You ever like that'll happen to you? You might have some Spinal Tap moments. Watch the movie.
Yeah, maybe not.
I know that movie's so well done that it's so realistic, actually, that you're looking at it and go, "That's happened."
I've seen it.
It looks so
Actually-
stupid, but it does. Those things happen.
I actually met Dickie Betts from Blue Cheer, and he said, "I ain't ever seen Spinal Tap, but pretty sure we lived it."
Yeah.
And I saw Judas Priest in Queensryche. They did Electric Eye. Priest did. Halford got stuck in the pod coming out.
Oh no!
Oh.
But then also, a lot of those, Alex Cooper said the same thing, that it's like, I've never, but it's probably happened. I think he said he got lost trying to get into an arena. Where the mic goes out or something.
But yeah, when you have an elaborate stage show, there's more room for stuff to go wrong.
But it's been
Because you
good.
got mechanical failures and stuff.
I think this year this is a very difficult year for musicians to play, but you managed to get gigs.
Yeah.
And I think all cohesively together, I think that's probably you're gelling as a unit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably, you get that confidence working together, which you know what somebody does, or you're not going to get pulled. Especially since I didn't realize you ad-libbed the set so much.
Oh yeah, I just love this. But no, it's been really great that we've been able to keep playing. So and at a lot of really great places where they are doing a really good job of keeping everything distant.
And I've been very happy with that, how it's been going. I know it's
Yeah.
going to be tough. I know, like Leslie at Love and Cup, their big thing every year is Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And this is a thing where it would sell out. I would call my friend and say it's on tickets on sale. Sell out in half an hour. They're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
that
this year.
stinks.
And it stinks. But it's like a really cool event. I didn't realize my friends Ken and Ben and Katie were in there doing it. Kurt Johnson. It's like, wait a second, you're wearing a beard, Katie. That's why I didn't recognize you. But they act out Muppet stuff and sing Muppet songs. But everybody loves it. It's jam-packed, but obviously they can't do it this year. And I know Leslie said they're just hoping to stay above water, hopefully. But
I know. And they've had really cool outdoor stuff there, so that's been...
yeah, you played there.
Yeah.
Meg Williams played there.
Yeah. So it's nice. It's nice that places have been able to have outdoor stuff, but it'll be hard.
Yeah, but I know you played, like, as Adrianna has advertised, you probably didn't get any festivals this year.
No, we had some, but...
Had's the word for everybody.
I know. We had, what did we have? Lilac Fest and...
We were going to open up for Almost Queen at
Yeah.
Party in the Park.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Think about
really
Lilac Fest.
excited
Think
about
about
that.
Lilac Fest.
Yeah.
That's
They
like
were
sort
good.
of a...
I saw them last year.
Yeah, I guess there was a
I was
pretty
there
good
last year.
number of people there.
Yes, it took me so long to get in both entrances, which I didn't even know there was a second entrance. Both of them had lines like around the block, and when we finally got in, it was so busy there that I actually was like, okay, I gotta go. There
we,
was so many
ended
people.
up, we just kind of went behind the stage on the backside
Oh,
there,
yeah,
and we just
yeah.
kind of
I
watched
parked
them
by
from the thing.
Colgate Divinity College, and I walked out. I made the mistake on the way out. I had to try one of the deep-fried Snickers bars.
Oh, yeah.
I just had to do it just to say I did it,
Yeah.
and it was... My friend Todd Kratz sees me, he goes, Rob, you look green, because we were going to go see the Gas House Gorillas. But the one thing you'll love, I get a kick out of it. No, Anonymous Willpower's played there.
I like Gas House Gorillas.
I do too. They're awesome. Except the guy, they do one thing where you're supposed to do. Don't ever do this. Audience participation. So one of the band members comes out and stands there and looks at you, and makes sure you sing.
Oh, boy.
It's like, wait a second, I'm paying you.
You're like, hey. Yeah, no.
Would you like to come? But the cool part about Lilac Fest, Greg, I know you played there, is they take you up in a golf cart.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Which I think is just fun. I don't know. I think it's fun.
Well, it's nice to get the treatment. Like all your stuff's there, and you've got drums there, which I'm sure Chuck can. We love it when there's drums there. It's like, sure, man, what do you need me to bring? A foot pedal? Awesome.
Right.
But I mean, I did the one. I don't know if you remember this, but I did a gig there. I got a call from. I played with what's her name, Jerry Lee Lewis's sister there. She's a rock and roll keyboard player, yeah. And so she was doing this tour, and Brian Williams got me involved. So he called me, and we played Lilac
The
Festival
man I
with
see at
her.
Wagman's on East after midnight
shows.
all the time for some reason.
Cool.
I don't know why. I see
best
Brian
time
all the
to
time.
go.
I'm like, Brian, hi. It's like, hi.
That's the
But there's a
best.
story. I'll tell you a quick Jerry Lee Lewis story because he's come up. Kyle Vach and I were talking about him. And I guess Greg Townsend said
Brenda
Eddie
Lee
Angel
Lewis or
from Low
something like
Straitjackets. I guess when he didn't have the money, he would have his house out as a museum at Jerry Lee Lewis. And Eddie Angel lives in Tennessee, so he's like, I'm going to go down there. What are you going to see in his house? So he goes in there. Jerry Lee's cutting the grass on his lawnmower. Right? So I guess he waves to Jerry Lee, and Jerry Lee gave him the finger. It's supposed to be a real scary
He
guy.
seems like a very irascible character, yeah.
But it's cool too because you can always say you open. Like I always got a kick out of like some bands my friends opened for, which is really neat. Fox 45 opened for Jeff Tate of Queensryche, and it's always like sort of neat to see. You've idolized some of these bands or really like them, and then you end up opening with them or going on tour with them, which is sort of fun. And you get to the Lilac Fest, which is...
Yeah, for sure.
Do you ever do the big... I'm a vegetarian, so I do, but the Big Rib? Because they do have bands there. It's more blues.
Yeah.
Talk about lines, too, if you want to get stuff there.
Really? No, I've never been there. I've never...
Well, this year, everything's sort of been...
Yeah.
I remember that, the one at the Highland Park.
Yeah.
Because they had another one at Charlotte. They always used to confuse me. They had these two rib festivals that...
Yeah, remember the days when bands played all these festivals all year? There were all these
Oh,
things.
isn't that
where,
nice?
wasn't it
Yeah.
cool and everything else?
Yeah,
It's like I
right?
said, it's the year of like winning the lotto. I'm getting all the refunds from my tickets of concerts I was going to go to.
Yeah.
I know.
But that's cool. And the thing is now, too, you have something coming up in terms of you're going to start doing a little bit of recording, aren't you?
Yep. So today we're going to do a recording at Bitter Honey which is going to be super cool. They have something over there called Bitter Bites that they're starting, or that they've got a couple recordings already under their belt for. And so they're just recording some local bands. So
I think that's...
Is that a club or a studio? What is
it's
that?
Bitter Honey's a
It's a candy
restaurant.
bar.
Oh.
It's like the little candy bar that you can choose forever.
Right.
It's a
If you get it stuck on the rug, you'll use ice to
Oh,
get it
forget
out.
about it. It's a restaurant, right. It's on Railroad, right by the public market.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Oh, all right.
So we're gonna go there and we're gonna record our song "Left Things," and that'll be super fun.
That's cool. One of my, actually, Eddie Frazier Jr., I guess he had a studio you recorded things at his barber shop.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think it's neat now. You can just set this stuff up with technology.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you would remember. You might remember getting the radio out, getting your tape recorder and pressing it next to the radio and taping songs.
Greg probably knows the guy that's recording us today. What's his name?
Oh, gosh.
I'm sure.
There's a guitar player.
I'm sure you know. I'm sure.
I thought it
Greg
was
knows
Zach,
him.
somebody, the guitar player.
Yeah.
It might be Zach. Oh, God, you're good.
But he's been around, so.
I might
The
know
name
him, yeah.
just slipped my mind.
But that's
That's
cool. And
cool.
everything,
I mean, that
think.
sounds like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
I think anything for me that can help local music, I'm always for. I'm always,
Richmond's did that years ago. Back.
Richmond's just closed.
I know.
I know,
That's really
that
sad.
really sucks.
The thing about us, for me, it was Idols and Richmond's when I grew up.
Yeah.
And
Idols,
Richmond's was like,
How
I think
about
it was.
Jazzberries. Remember that?
Yeah, actually,
Jazzberry.
I'll give you a story
right, I
about
live over
that.
that way.
I'll give you a story about Jazzberries. Talk about how life works, right? So I went to see the Kinks were playing at U of R UK Jive. My friend David Cuesta and I were going to go see the Essentials at Jazzberries on East Avenue afterwards. So we went to go see the Essentials. And over the years, the Essentials became the Salamanders, became the High Risers. And we think they played with the Skeletons. And I don't know for sure, but what happened over the holidays, my friends Ben and Katie put together the Submarine School of Music. What they're trying to do is, if you're a low-income child, they try to match it so you can get lessons. Mm-hmm. So we had a benefit at a bop shop. And there was an older woman in there, and Ben said, and I'm telling Ben this story about meeting Greg Townsend all these years ago. He's like, you have to talk to this woman. It was the owner of Jazzberries.
Oh,
And
Linda Pluckett.
It had
Yeah,
turned
yeah,
out
we're
that was the first gig at the Jazzberries on East Avenue before it was in Henrietta.
I thought it used to be on. Didn't it?
No, actually, Titus
I
wasn't.
thought it was on Goodman. It used
No,
to be
the
old
original one
Norton's
was
pub.
Monroe, right next to Hess.
There you go, because
Right,
Todd
that
Bradley
corner
told me
building
that
right next
again.
to
I'm
Hess.
Yeah, but
thinking.
didn't they? Oh, I'm thinking of the wine press. The wine press was over on Goodman and Norton, where Norton's.
Yeah, the
Ended up.
original Jazzberries, I'm
Okay.
pretty certain, was right there by the Hess gas station on Monroe Avenue.
Okay.
You wouldn't know.
No.
Who remembers Pooch's Pub?
Ah, sure, Pooch's Pub. Oh, yeah.
That was a great place to play.
You don't know, like,
Played with the salamanders there.
yeah, there's all these, like, somebody should write a definitive history of Rochester bands and stuff, because I think the one thing we do have here is diversity, and it's amazing. I will get letters from friends. A friend of mine lives in Atlanta, and figures tons. He goes, not half as much as you see here all the time. I think we have that mix, and I don't think there's, like, we all sort of help each other out, too, where there's no competition.
Yeah.
Which I think is good, too, in a way.
A couple of these places we're talking about are older than our singer.
I know. I can imagine.
Jazzberries
I'm like, I don't
was-
know.
she
I've never
wasn't
heard
even
of
here
that.
with Jazzberries.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, and we can talk about back in the day and all that stuff, but it's kind of like the hippie ethic or the, I don't know how to explain it, but like what's going on with, dare I say, your generation, but
Our generation.
yeah, so, is you're getting more of that independent, everybody's doing stuff on their own, they're just motivating, and you're like, okay, we're gonna do this DIY, and you get your
Yeah.
stuff together, and you go get your stuff, and you make it happen, and that's kind of what we did. And then all these bars started, having bands, and then you get the bands and then helping each other out, and let's do a double bill, and you gain trust that way, and I think you gain somewhat of a, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but you create something. You make
It's a
something.
scene.
Yeah, a scene. Thank you. That's
And the other
word.
thing, too,
Yeah.
is a lot of the younger musicians I know, and this applies to you definitely, is you have a very good knowledge of older music. And I know you like 70s music, 1920s jazz.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
really for me. One of my friends said, I got something at Taco Bell. The person at the drive-thru looked like Billie Eilish. And I'm like, who the hell is it? Is that like the person who played Witchy Poo on HR Puff and stuff?
Billie Eilish. Eilish. I love her.
There we go. See,
She's good. She's so good.
she is. Then I looked up because the thing for me, as soon as I didn't know, it's like, it's
Right,
Billie
right.
Eilish.
People like that are a mystery to me.
Well,
Like,
I
all
had
of a sudden
one.
they appear and they have
Don't
all
you feel?
this
You feel kind
adulation.
of.
I'm
You
like,
feel kind of weird though,
My
where.
brother is
It's
amazing.
kind of like what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
But I had
She's
this one.
done
I'm
it
in
all
line at the
through
store.
The media, internet.
Right.
Well, you found like older music, obviously.
That's the
You
new
really
way.
fell in
Yeah,
love like
man.
with the older like the 20s jazz. It's all out there
She's
for
good,
you if you
though.
want to.
Yeah,
Find it.
I've never
Yeah,
listened
there you
to that.
go. I found it.
Yeah, you did because I had the one time I'm in the store and there's people talking behind me and I can't help but hear them. They talk about there's this singer I saw in this video. He had this weird voice and he looked weird and I couldn't help it. I turned around. I said Bob Dylan. And their response was, "Who's Bob Dylan?"
No.
And then I had these English kids I knew from the old Toad. They didn't know who the Kinks were, who the Who were.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
What's going on?
I mean, everybody knows the Beatles,
Right.
you know.
Right. Wow.
But you find like you could probably name a lot of like 70s things we wouldn't know. You'd probably find
Maybe.
well,
I don't know.
Nick Drake.
I hear a lot of records still when I hear, I never even knew these guys played music back then, like,
And that's the thing I said, like, with your music, you bring so many, like, from every decade. You can always, that's why it's yours, because it's something unique in terms of, it's not one thing. Like, Undercover Lover sounds a little like Imaginary Lover, but it's not.
Okay.
And then some other thing like St. Vincent type thing, you pick this out, I'll go, for a second, it's like, this is like Fiona Apple, and you probably, like,
Yeah.
you pick this up, and it's all yours. And I think that's what whereas, like, if you just listen to one thing and you're like a clone,
Yeah. Yeah.
you get that feel too, like, in terms of her songs. It's always, is it sort of exciting when she brings something, because you never know.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, you've definitely touched on, every time you and I talk, you kind of say things that I'm maybe thinking but haven't said in terms of Adrianna and where she's coming from with her tunes. The newest ones, I can't wait for you guys to hear. It's kind of really early in stages of writing the song, but it's this, you hear the song, you hear her singing the song, and you've heard it. It's a song that you've heard, but you haven't, kind of thing. And I haven't pinpointed or figured out where or who or what, whether it's Beth Carpenter or it's a really cool vibe.
And that's the thing.
That's a good trait, though.
Yeah, I'll ask you, Chuck, because I've always said, like I've said this to you many times, Adrianna, I can't pinpoint your voice except it's yours. Do you have anybody you would say she sounds like a little bit or not? See, that was me when you were playing Dreams. I'm like, you do sound a little bit Steve. It's like Stevie. Nah, you don't sound like Stevie. You sound like you. You have that,
Thanks.
Greg. You haven't heard her sing yet.
No.
It's really unique, really, really good voice.
I mean, I've heard like little bits and pieces of a lot of different people. One of my favorite blues singers is Beth Hart, and she's like really powerful, gravelly, but sometimes Adrianna hits notes and choruses and stuff that remind me of her. And if you go listen to her now, you'll probably won't hear it. You'll say, I don't get what he was saying, but there's bits and pieces of it. It's not like full parts or anything that sound like Beth Hart, but there's little pieces of her voice that sound like that. And I hear Beth Carpenter every once in a while, but if you listen to Beth Carpenter, you probably wouldn't agree with me. I think there's little bits and pieces.
There was literally, after your
that
Roar
she's
show, I
pulling.
sent you a text because during your Roar show, I'm going, Jolie Holland,
Yeah, I remember you saying that, Joey Holland.
because she's almost like a female Tom Waits a little bit. She's really interesting. But I saw that. I think that's what's interesting. We should have a little contest again about who does Adrianna sound like. You put the thing in. You sound like
It's always
yourself.
fun. It's
like-
always fun to hear what people think, though. That's
But
really
does
cool.
it ever get you when somebody will come up to you and it'll be somebody you just no idea, where it's like, how did they get this? It's like you sound like Molly Hatchet.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't know if I've really heard the ones. No, I don't know.
I think you know what it is too. Is like, I mean, a lot of us, I think we all listen to all different kinds of music. I always got that. I've always used the Duke Ellington thing. There's good music and there's bad music, and I listen to everything. But some people they do, and I've had friends tell me, I made Gun Club tapes for, this is a band, it's New York, I'm not in trouble, it's a band. I got sent tapes to them because I really like Jeffrey Lee Pierce, but he is different. And the response was back, Rob, they suck. And what he said to me though, but they're like, he said, they're big, like Iron Maiden metal fans, and I like Iron Maiden myself. He said basically it was the music we grew up with. We've never really... Like, I one time said some nasty things about Journey, and one of my friends said, "You've wrecked my high school in my youth by saying that they were the band of my youth." And I'm like, just because I said something, you care? They did a sucky video game. But I think some people, they get that, and they don't go... Like, I would recommend, we would be the people, like Todd Kratz and I, we would go down to Lakeshore Record Exchange. On top would be a Hank Williams album. On the bottom would be Slayer. And in between the zombies, we would just get all kinds of music. And I think some people, they just get stuck in a... It's like Buddy Rich said, supposedly, when he died, he's like, death isn't as bad as country. And Buddy Rich hated rock drummers for the most part, but that's that whole prejudice some people have. Where I listen to every kind of music. During quarantine, I started getting into African music, all kinds of rhythms, because music's nonstop if you want to keep exploring.
Yeah, very true.
And I could just see you could go all over the map. I've told Chuck this. I sometimes come up with an imaginary set list of songs for you to do because I like to hear you do them. I don't know if the band would like to play them.
Maybe. You never know. You never know.
But we have to talk a little, too, about Halloween, because it is October, and you have... you seem like the type to me, because you're so creative. Tell me I could be completely wrong. Do you do your own costumes?
I do, sometimes.
Just because you're creative, I thought that.
The last couple of years, first of all, I always love to be scary things, because I love Halloween because of scary things. I love scary movies. But anyways, then I started to get into doing things for pop culture, like pop culture references of that year. Now, I think my standout costume was probably last year, or no, it was in college. It was when Kendall Jenner did, she in the Pepsi commercial, and she gave the Pepsi can during a protest, and that was supposed to stop the protest, because she gave them a Pepsi. I did that, and that was a good reference.
And I love when people see when the Bug Jar used to have the concerts, one time the Quitters dressed as the crew from Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. And what I like of those costumes, where some people don't get it, like my friend, we were at Lux, and she dressed as Death from Sandman. And I went up I went right up to her, and I said, "Wow, you're dead." And she's, "I love you. Nobody else knows who I am. I'm just a goth girl." It's like, you were Death. See,
it's so unfortunate when people don't get it. It's so unfortunate.
But when somebody does, that's the fun part.
Payoff.
That's the fun part. Yeah. But one of the funniest ones I ever saw, my friend Colette one time dressed as last year's prom queen. So she had a spoiled condom here, heels over on her shoulders.
No.
But I would say, watch Attack of the Killer Donuts. It's quality.
Okay. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of scary movies.
Actually, this morning I started watching this movie called The Creation of the Humanoids.
Oh, my.
It's a 1962. Okay. But it's on that Tubi. I love that. It's on the Roku thing. Yeah. I love that because it's got all these weird old sci-fi atomic age movies and all. But this one's color. But I mean, it's kind of like it's almost like a Philip Dick type of thing. It's like about these, after the atomic wars, there's robot society, and then there's humans, but they make robots to look more like humans so they can learn about the humans. And it's like, I just watched the first 20 minutes of it, and it was actually pretty interesting.
I've been watching horror movie after horror movie, and I've been also watching Halloween over and over again.
Oh, yeah, I started.
And I met PJ Souls, and she came to the Little a couple years ago, and she told some stories about it. Which is cool, which is really cool. But the thing about that is I guess, Carpenter hated part 2. Just hated it. And I liked part 3 because I thought it was sort of like an old Hammer thing.
I haven't seen them all yet.
Don't see, 4 through 6, you would like to skip those.
No, okay. I know, I want to see them all. But
I have two versions of the Hills
There's a new one coming out, too.
No, I saw the trailer, though, and I was
that's some creepy
maybe
crap
not.
right there, man.
Yeah, that's the remake is horrifying.
Yeah.
I saw the trailers, and I was like, I'm not watching that.
You don't want to watch the Human Centipede, probably, either.
No, I've heard about it.
No, we have my dear friend Liz and Katie, we started a movie night where we get Indian food, and we just go over their house, and we'll watch a couple movies. And so I've been banned from picking the movies.
Oh, you picked that one?
No, because I picked she said she hated me for a month after that one.
Yeah.
But we watched the new Halloween this time. But there's a new one now, Halloween Kills. It's supposed to be out next year.
It's coming out, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they already have one coming out next year and then the year after that or something. There's like 2 that I saw.
Michael Myers is like, he should be a drummer. You couldn't kill him.
Yeah, right.
Okay, after seeing 2, I'm like, how is he not dead? I don't get it.
He's cold, man.
I just got burned. And I got better. But Dr. Loomis, too. How Dr. Loomis, I just set the thing on fire, exploded, I'm back.
Yeah, I don't get it.
One of my big picks is the remake of Last House on the Left. Have you seen that?
Yes, I own it.
Is that with Jennifer Lawrence? What's that one?
No, that's the house on the end of the street.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's got a fairly graphic attack scene with these guys and the girl in the woods. I mean, it's like, the way they did it, it's like you're just cringing. You just feel so bad for this girl.
It's almost like, it's gross though in some ways. It's almost like torture porn in a way.
Yeah. Well, yeah, speaking of that.
Are you more like classic horror or more like slasher type stuff?
Okay, my favorite is ghost stuff. I love ghosts, which is why I hadn't seen Halloween before, really. I haven't really gotten into the slasher stuff or the classic stuff until now. But The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix was so
I heard that's good.
Good. I watched it.
Did you watch? I've got one for you. I think you can get it on Netflix. The series Haunting of Hill House.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It was but the next one's Bly Manor.
next-
Well, there are a couple parts where I just
Oh my god, it's so good.
freaked.
It's so good.
Chuck, you have no clue, do you, about horror
It
films?
was good.
do you?
I watched
Come
it.
on, Chuck.
No, just the olds. Just nah, not really. I was never really into horror movies. I couldn't. I dream too much.
Stop by and we'll watch Hostel.
Oh god.
would end up having
Those are
nightmares.
sick.
My dad always
You would like
watch
Carnival of
Hostel.
Souls, probably. You would probably like that.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
Haunting a Hell House is another one.
Chucky was
Oh, I
always,
saw that.
of course, I had to watch Chucky.
Chucky. Yeah, I don't know. But that's the thing. We have
good
to come up
concept.
with a Halloween costume because we have a gig at Roar the day before Halloween. So.
Well,
we
I've
gotta
already
come
been
up-
told what I'm doing.
I know. I didn't want to. Do you want to tell? I didn't want to, put you on the spot, but.
Yeah, bands are forced to do that, because what have you... I forgot what you dressed up as, like, at a couple of them. I know Peyton always wears that wrestling mask.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Susie
but
had that voodoo thing with the skull on it the one year.
Oh God.
A lot of times I just have like this monk thing. It's like a priest robe, like a druid thing. It just goes on and it's that's it. I kind of go classic because I can't wear too many weird things and play. So I just do that usually. That or I got a vampire, like a cloak thing. I'll do the white face,
It's like they used to force, like my brother worked at Wegmans, and they used to force him to dress up for Halloween. He used to play softball. He'd wear his baseball uniform.
There you go.
But you think we'll have trick-or-treaters this year, even if Halloween? You think they'll be out or anything?
Probably.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I saw a guy that built a PVC chute from his porch with some really good pitch. And the kids walk up and he just drops the candy in the PVC. It's it's like a 3-inch PVC.
That's so cool.
And it just...
That's like in your neighborhoods, you still get trick-or-treaters usually, because I guess like right where Susie and Don live in Arundequoit, and I learned this from the Hearst people when we did Screamfest, there's a couple neighborhoods there, they do Halloween like old school. They really go all out.
Yeah.
And they do. But we don't, I think we got one or two.
I know.
And I would take my dog around and I would put glowing devil horns on her. And there was a haunted house down the thing, and I go by, one kid ran to his mom, "It's a devil dog, it's a devil dog."
Yeah.
And I was thinking, did you ever go, Greg? There was a haunted, and I wrote about this on Stalker Book. There was a haunted house. It was at the fairgrounds or Midtown Plaza. They did actors. And I remember, people, there was like a vampire. A couple kids ran out. We're out, like me watching horror movies, like,
Yeah. I did the one out in Wayne County once, the hayride.
Oh, I love
and that was really good. I mean, you're cruising along, and it's like, creepy as it is. And then there's these people just come out of the woods on horses, man, and it's like the headless, and it's just like, it's really scary. I mean, when you're in this thing and you're kind of like, you're like, wow, this would be really scary if this was real.
I went to, when I was in London, I went to Madame
That's a good
Tussauds.
one.
And I recommend Madame Tussauds. I think it's like a fun house type thing. But they have the one part where they say they won't touch you. But you go down and they do
It's a lie. Yep.
they do like the swing, and you're like that.
Yeah.
But I have the penultimate, probably, I want to use that word, a haunted hayride story. One of my friend's brothers dressed up as a phantom. And he went out, and he lived, so it's okay. He went out, he fell, and the wagon ran him over. He broke his legs, and he's screaming. They left him there because they thought it was part of the act.
Oh, my God.
Oh. Yeah, see, that's scary.
You might be able to get one. My friends in the Tombstone Hands, I've told you this, at for Hulse last year, they played on the back of the wagon.
Oh, that's neat.
And they froze as bad as you.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
guess, but Litvac told me they sold a lot of merch. They sold a lot of stuff.
That's neat.
You know, it's all like, I mean, you're looking forward to like the years ahead of this till she leaves us and goes to better pastures.
Me?
Yeah, you're looking at play and everything.
I've been working on getting permission to go
See?
with her.
See? He's coming along.
You got to take the drummer.
See, he's coming along.
Until they tell me I can't,
Look at
right?
that.
I don't know.
No, I mean that's what I love about
I
seeing
would,
you,
right?
like seeing all your stuff and everything is you could just
Hey,
when
man,
you
you
catch
gotta hitch
somebody who's
yourself
just
to
coming up,
somebody's star.
who's just you can't wait to see what you're going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And this year obviously has been 2020.
Right.
On my chops, man. That's
Right.
the main thing.
Yeah.
It's
Do it.
trying to get there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I know I've been practicing a lot more since this all started. I
Yeah.
cleaned out my basement and I set up a whole thing. And I was going to ask you about what you're playing nowadays. What kind of stuff you got? Just
Drum wise?
Yeah.
Well, I've been going crazy. I bought a Dallas drum kit from Ben. Then I started getting it. Going to his shop is a big mistake if you're a drummer.
Yeah, I know.
And then
Hearing
so
that.
I grew up playing a Club Date Black Oyster Pearl Ringo kit,
Right.
and my dad, 25 years ago, through some hard times, sold it. I put an ad out to try to find the kit again.
Oh, wow.
Didn't unsuccessfully. I thought maybe Ralph Bushy snagged it because he was
Right.
doing that for a long time. So I was in Ben's shop and saw the Black Oyster Pearl Ringo kit, so I snagged that. And then shortly after that, he puts this ad up like he always does, makes it look like candy on the internet.
Yeah.
He had a Tiger Pearl Japanese Yamaha kit, and they were called Sake, S-A-K-E. So I bought that kit, and then 2 weeks ago,
Yikes.
I bought a
Love it.
Gold Sparkle 1962 Club Date kit. So
It's
I've been
great.
out
That's
of
awesome.
control.
I guess.
You don't
Yeah.
play drums, do you?
No.
You play everything else,
But
sort
I'm
of.
done.
That's
I
great, though.
wish. I wish I
That's
could
the
just-
one. That's the one thing
they're
I couldn't
holding their
play is
value.
drums. I just don't have that. I can play.
I tried. I can't get it.
No,
That
but
was a
you.
long
I mean, you
answer,
still do
sorry.
keyboards and
That's
you do
okay. That's
guitar.
why I asked. I wanted
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah, see, like my foot doesn't
gotta get over
do
that.
the kick drum.
really
It
do.
just wants to tap along. I'm like,
Takes
no,
care.
no, no. I can't.
No, some people, I bet you do play keyboards and guitar and everything
Yes.
really well like that. So that's, which is really cool and
Yeah.
everything because I can't play pretty much. So I do a podcast because I can't
Oh my
play any of
gosh.
those. No, but it's good to be able to play multiple instruments and everything. Is there anything you'd ever like to attempt in terms of instruments?
Yeah, well, it's just because I love it. I want to play the saxophone. Actually, I wish I could play every instrument. I think it'd be fun to play bass.
I have one you
tried.
can buy. I have a Selmer.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I've never gotten into that. But, like, I don't know. I would love to play bass. That sounds like fun. I've tried.
You want to be Prince where you can just do the whole album, kick all these guys out and just play it yourself?
No, I just think it's fun to be able to, like, move around the stage and be like, now I'm going to pick up this. Now I'm going to pick up this.
I could
but-
play a kazoo.
Yeah. Kazoo. I played a recorder in elementary school.
Oh, man. I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like my friend Michaela got into harp because I guess she started on keyboards, but her teacher told her to harp, and she got into that.
That's really cool.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
But there's a confession, too, you told me before this started. You actually, for this is a Halloween episode, you like candy corn.
I mean, I love candy corn. I don't care who knows it.
I'm going to give you candy corn flavored coffee,
Actually,
too.
now that I say it, I hope it's vegan. But anyways,
It
I
is.
love candy corn. It's probably just chemicals, yeah. But I love candy corn.
Oh, I'm
No shame.
vegetarian vegan, too.
See?
See, some people do. It's like I have the debate if you were forced to eat one thing, candy corn or fruitcake. Many people would probably do like saw and cut their arm off. But
I love candy corn.
It's too sweet for me. I can't.
It is sweet, but that's also like the beauty of it. You don't really need that many then, you know.
Yeah.
And it's
do you count the weird flavors, or are you purist? Because there's all these weird flavors now.
I don't know about the weird flavors.
You'll just go like they have. You'll see them next time you go out. They've got like caramel flavor now.
Oh, I mean, why not?
Or the little pumpkins that are like the little.
Oh yeah, I like those. Why not?
See, somebody likes everything. There's
Yeah. Why not? If it's festive and it's candy, sure.
you know, it's like there's like that one band everybody can't stand. Somebody's like Nickelback.
I was just thinking Nickelback, and you know what?
Why they get such bad
That's
press?
what I said. Everybody used to love Nickelback. And I remember
Nickelback or Creed.
They had their songs and were like Nickelback, and then all of a sudden one day it was cool to not like Nickelback.
Well, you know what it was too. Like when I went to school, everybody
jealousy,
played
right?
Vanilla Ice, and I would go. In terms of rap, I was like an old Linkin Park person and those kind of bands, and they're all playing. And I'm going. One day you're going to laugh and say you didn't like them. Just like now I see when I was a being a Ramones fan. Now you see their shirts at Target.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's
They're
like
everywhere.
that.
Well, I've never been a big fan. That's what I don't understand as far as like, you want to get popular, and as soon as you get popular, your fans bail. And it's like, well, wait a minute. The whole idea of this was to be successful, not to be some fringe, starving, I mean, everybody thinks that it's cool that, it's like, oh, well, now you're selling out. How is it selling out to be popular?
My thing would be this: if I had a group, like if you play Giant Stadium, are you going to complain?
No.
Or anything. Like for me, I had that snoot period in college where I would only go to films at the Little, and they better be in subtitles, and I better go to those movies. There better only be 3 people in the audience, or I don't want to go. Or go to these bands. Well, does anybody else? You know the band, right? There's under 20 people. You're cool.
Yeah.
You mean you played for 50 people? I'm out.
Well, I think everybody wants to be in some sort of a little identifiable thing like that. I mean, that's probably where that comes from. But it's like then when it gets to be a mass appeal, oh, now they're just like everybody else and they're not special. And it's just like you have to accept that as a...
I think, though, here's the cool thing. Here's the cool thing. It's the complete opposite of that. It's like, for example, you in a couple of years, it'll be good. It's like, I knew her when she was doing this, and now she's doing this.
Right.
And there's a lot of other bands I know like that. But one of the big ones we saw, Bug Jar used to have Bug Fest. I saw the White Stripes.
Wow.
And now one of my friend Megan, she saw Nirvana at Geneseo with 30 people when they just started out.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And imagine being on the beginning of that and saying, back then, like imagine you were in London or something. Well, you were in Liverpool seeing the Beatles at the Cavern Club.
Was that the thing at the park, Highland Bowl?
They used to have Highland Bowl. They had Bugfest. It was
I think Don had a video of that.
It was real rainy, I think, that day. And I know Megan's band Beater played at one of them. And then Bobby just stopped.
Like I remember at Bug Jar, man. I was lucky. $20 and Blue Cheer played.
I saw him,
and that was a great show. And it's like, because I love those guys.
Plus, they have the one, was it the guitar players from Rochester?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and they were in the hotel when Janis Joplin died.
Oh, wow.
So it's nice to hear history. It's like Ian McLaughlin and I became sort of friends, and I would hear all these old stories about the Faces and everything.
Yeah.
It's always firsthand when you get to, like, it comes around where... when we were kids in high school, then one of my best friends is the drummer for Lou Gramm.
Yeah.
How it comes around like that.
Yeah.
It's like you'll replace Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac one day.
Right. Whoa. But yeah.
So zooming on Halloween for a second, I know I've read things and heard things. What is it in the human psyche that makes you want to be scared?
Right, I don't know.
It's fun.
I mean, that's
fun.
the whole thing about why
the adrenaline.
The genre.
That I think it's also just been a crappy year in a lot of ways. COVID, we have all these scares. There's this election coming up. People are mad at everything, and I think it's just that fun idea where you get like the fun scare, not the scary, not the horrifying scare.
Yeah, you're like, it could be worse. And
well,
also
they go.
it's fake.
Some of them go off the left, like the hostile things. Like they're like, okay, this is not necessary to make these movies.
Right.
But
those ones I'm like, whoa.
You know what I mean? But yeah, we have this need to be scared, and we think it's fun. I think maybe it's like a bravery thing. Oh man, we got through that.
Yeah.
Well, I had my own scary story from October. I've told before. My parents would go out to dinner with our cousins. They lived in Livonia, and it was like a long stretch of road, right?
Scary.
So it's me. It's an October night. It's me, my cousin Sharon. We're like around 10 or so, and my grandmother's watching it. So we watched The Exorcist, which scared us enough.
Okay.
It sounded like somebody was outside the house, and it was really windy. And we were terrified.
Right.
And I know, call the cops or something. We didn't think of that, but parents got home. We went home. Now, it would be good to say, well, we found footprints or something. We didn't, but it's how the mind plays tricks on you and everything. But I think there's that also thing. Wow, I got away with it.
Yeah.
Unless you're not the final girl in like some horror movie, you're gonna get rubbed out.
Right.
Cabin in the Woods.
But can we see now for your gig at Roar? Can you say about? Do you have anything else? You're doing your recording today. You think anything else is on the horizon this year in the year of COVID? Or are we just going to go to Roar and then we'll see?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're working with some people called Alien Fam, and they do a lot
Alien Ant Farm.
yeah, right, Alien Fam, and they do a lot of really cool parties around town, I guess, and I hadn't heard of it because they have their own community of people that they kind of share the info to, but I'm super happy and excited to see what those events look like.
If you know them, show up.
I know, right?
Or if you just shine the satellite, the telescope, if the UFO comes.
Yeah.
And we've had, my friend Twitch used to do, we would book ska shows. We would do house shows.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a community where you knew somebody, you told your pal, like my friend Rick Simpson, not this year, but before he would do house shows. And we get on the email list and...
Yeah, so I don't know. So we're going to see what that looks like and what we end up doing with that. But we have some things in the works with them, and so that'll be really cool.
Only thing I could think of, one of those things, I got really drunk on mudslides years ago. It's like one of those bad memories. But it's like sort of weird. I remember going in the basement and everything's like decked out.
Right.
And it's like, oh, what's going to happen? Are we going to get like sacrificed down or something?
No, but so for right now, we've got Roar and on the 30th, and then we're going to, hopefully just be practicing still and recording.
Are you dressing up at Roar, though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you being forced to, Chuck?
Chuck's going to dress up. Everybody's dressing up. Everyone's dressing up.
I'm considering going drag.
I did that. I actually... Okay, I have to tell... I've told this story before, but it's too good not to tell again. One year, my friends... Actually, right by us, Lochnavar, right up here. Parents' house, we were having a Halloween party. So I dressed in drag. Now, it's not Halloween. I loved wearing a dress. So I get on the expressway. My car stalls.
No.
I end up getting out, leaping a fence in drag. It's not Halloween. I walk down Lyle Avenue to get back to my house.
No, gosh.
A truck stops for a second to look at me like I'm a prostitute and then goes by. So then I got my parents' car and I went down to the party.
Amazing.
But I love dressing in drag, and I love... we did Lipstick Massacre around 10 years ago. It was so fun. And then we hung out at Tilt. And I'm like in my other home with drag queens. I love, like, Pandora's a darling.
Oh my gosh, I love her.
She's a but if you met, and I've known Pandora for years, if you ever met Pandora they're all very shy. Miss Kasha Davis.
Oh my gosh, I love her.
She did Rocky Horror at Blackfriars. She was incredible. And one night at Edibles, we got really drunk on martinis and debated if cats or dogs were better.
I like her a lot, actually.
She's great. I mean, she's really there. I've known all of them for years because of the theater stuff. They're all just busts. And what's good with them is, like, I'm actually, if I don't know you, I'm pretty shy. And you let them get the attention go away.
Yeah.
And we made a drink. We made a Meredith at Tilt in honor of our friend in the play. We just said, make it red.
Make it red.
But Lipstick Massacre was such a hoot, and Pandora was, and it was like one of those great memories. 10 years ago.
Wow.
I was like 13.
That's an interesting thing when you say they're basically shy people.
They are, but it's like, you know what it is? It's like a lot of musicians, like I know like Lux and Ivy from the Cramps, and you see them on stage, you're insane. Yeah. They're really quiet off stage. They just, it's a different persona.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you have to have some way of relating, so you come up with some kind of character for some reason that helps you create and emote, I guess. And it's like, just after that, you're just like, okay, that's that. Put that in the
Creative
closet,
people create, like you do. But it's very good to have you try. Chuck, we finally got you on.
I know.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
And this was like an ad lib because I saw Adrianna at the show, and I'm like, we going to be able to do this one day? I was sure. I just have Greg on.
Is Adrianna going to sing a tune or no?
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to that. But we're going to, now we're just give the basics. You're going to play it Raw on the 30th.
Yep.
And we can find you on all the
Spotify,
places.
Amazon, Apple Music, all those music streaming.
And eventually you're going to have a CD out.
Yep. And I have a website, Adrianna as Advertised. And you can find me on anything, Facebook, Instagram. Adrianna.
Coffee shops, probably.
Yeah, coffee shops. You can find
or
me
going
around.
in the candy corn aisle.
Right. You can find me around town.
And one question I can't let you go is, how is June doing?
June's great. She's great.
Dressing her up?
Yeah, I have actually, and actually I wish I had brought her because I have a sweater for her and it has the same jack-o'-lantern look to it. So, but yeah, she's just got a little groom yesterday, so she's like a little fluff ball. But she's really cute. She has human eyes, which with her new haircut, she kind of looks it's a little creepy. Her human
And she
eyes.
rings the bell when she's got to go potty.
Yeah. And then, but honestly, oh my gosh, she snuggles with me every night. She like has her own pillow next to my pillow and she uses it. It's kind of creepy.
My dog barfed on me one time when she did that when I was a kid.
Nope. She would
I woke
never.
up with dried dog puke.
She would never. No, she's just so cute.
They give you that. You'll have some time. Maybe you're working, you're doing all this, and you're frustrated, and you'll get really mad over something. But they will give you that look, and you'll just melt. Go,
oh my
I can't
God.
stay mad at you.
Yeah, I was watching a video one morning, and I was crying because it was a really sad video. And she looks up at me, and she puts her paw on my shoulder, and I was like,
They will do that,
this
and
dog's human.
my dog does put the
Yeah.
mouth on like that. But what would you were going to play something on our little, at the end here. What would you feel like playing? Or is it a mystery because it's Halloween?
It's a mystery because it's Halloween. I gotta think about it.
And then come up to the show if you've heard this and try to guess.
Okay.
Because I still don't know what the heck half your song titles are.
Yeah, I know. I gotta get them out there. I gotta get more of them out there. That's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be recording.
So this is always good, and thanks for being on. I hope it was fun.
Thank you.
And Chuck, you made it.
Great
Thank
meeting you.
And Greg, you got your Marvin the Martian and the wheel.
That's right.
If that was the last thing of the year, it was well played the other day. But thanks a lot, and we'll listen to Adrianna, and I'm out of here. Bye.
But you wanna come over, do it all over. What the hell for? We've been here before when our minds are at war and our voices soar. Let it go. Let it go. To know where my belly aches and my head shake, I'm flailing in the lake. And to know where my legs brace and my head aches like an earthquake. And that's called heartbreak. That is called heartbreak. No time could erase the pain of your embrace. And on my haunted space, I'm still seeing your face. Finally through that daze away and left with no trace. Now let it go. Let it go. It's in the way my back aches and my head shake. I'm flailing in the lake. And it's in the way my legs brace and my head aches like an earthquake. 'Cause that's called heartbreak. That is called heartbreak. Why'd you have to come back? Another sneak attack when I'm back on my feet and I'm up off of my knees. You always come back as though you've had my back.